Welcome back. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the story Dragonsinger, which is the second book in the Harper Hall of Pern. Um, I'm doing the omnibus version, which is like a book club, but I'm doing each book separately to kind of split it up so it's not like one really long video. So before I get into the video, just before I get into the story, again, if you could just like, subscribe, turn on notifications so you know when new videos are up. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Helps me out. I love hearing from you, and I'm always willing to respond back. So let's go into the Harper Hall of Pern and Dragonsinger. It follows Manali. Now she's at the Harper Hall, um, and much to the shock of pretty much everybody there, because again, Harpers are supposed to be men, just like she was told at her Seahold, half circle Seahold. This is it's a man's job. Women don't become Harpers. So I mean, with that, I mean she has to struggle with a lot of things. She's struggling with the masters and all that they want out of her, and she's got her feet are still healing. She's got her hand, which is still got that scar on it, and she's still able to play, but it's got to heal. And I mean, how long it takes to heal, I don't really know, because even at the end of the book, it's still not totally healed. But basically, the two that you run into that want to do her in are Dunka, who is the cot holder for the girls who attend the Harper Hall, and Pona, who is granddaughter to Lord Holder of Bowl. So between those two, once she gets into the hall and then she gets moved into the cot hold, obviously she's already not liked, because she's kind of considered an apprentice, even though it's not. She doesn't have the badge that says apprentice, but everybody knows of the talent. And there's the 9 fire lizards that Dunka doesn't like. And I mean, she has just this taste for her right from the get go. I mean, there's really no chance for Manali to really fit in there. The only friend that she really has is Pimer, who is an apprentice in the vocal program. He is him and Camo, who is what they would call a numbwit or a halfwit. He's not. He's cognitively impaired. Let's put it that way, because I work with people who are cognitively impaired, and he would be considered that. They are more than willing to help her feed the 9 fire lizards, just because Camo thinks they're pretty. He calls them the pretties, and he likes to feed them. Pimer, at first she thinks Pimer's her friend only because of the fire lizards, and because he wants to feed the fire lizards and maybe get an egg out of Beauty's clutch when she does mate, which nobody really knows when that will be. So she's got those allies and those enemies, but she also has on her side, obviously, Master Harper Robinson, who I think is one of the better characters of the series, because he can go from lighthearted to very stern to jovial very quick, like can do it on a dime. And you give him bread and wine and he's always happy. But he's also got ideas of wanting to change the message, and that's why he wants Manali and he wants her songs. So it's a new voice to change things, to have sea songs move inland. So land bread holders will learn sea songs, and have land songs go seabound, to where the sea holders will then learn land songs. And it kind of strikes Manali as funny because it's like, okay, if just imagine if they're learning from Elgion on tablets that I copied, that I wrote, songs that I wrote, they're singing them now. Am I still an embarrassment? Am I still a shame to the whole? And at this point, I don't think she really cares because she feels now, finally, even with, because she gets moved out of the cot hole. She just, it can't work there with Dunka on her and Pona on her, and all the other girls are just really not giving her any, any quarter. They move her into the room that she first stays in when they bring her, and that fits her. They just take a double apprentice cot, and that way she's got room for her and her fire lizards to sleep. And it's basically where she can work, writing songs, copying songs, practicing, flexing that hand, getting it ready, so to speak. Because she's basically like learning instrumentation and vocal. Because as some of the masters say, you wrote the song, you might as well be able to sing it too. It's yours. The whole Pona Dunka thing comes to a head at the Gather at Fort. Master Harper Robinson tells Manali, you are basically my apprentice, special apprentice. And he gives her a 2-mark piece to basically buy something nice for yourself that you can wear, and get some bubbly pies, which are popular at the gatherings. So she's going to this gathering. She goes with Pimer, and she sees all the cot girls with Holder boys, and Poma comes up and says, well, she can't afford anything you've got. I'm going to request work from you now with this. And as she's going into her money purse, Pimer says, well, Manali's got a 2-mark piece. And from Master Robinson himself. And Poma basically says, well, she stole it then. There's no way it was given to her. And it was an insult. And Manali calls her on that. Even though, she's kind of still new here, the whole idea of a girl being at the Harper Hall, being now an apprentice, because she has the badge now, that even seems like you're pushing it. But she stands up for herself for the first time, I think, out of these 2 stories, Dragon Song and Dragonsinger. She stands up for herself. And she cold-cocks one of the Holder boys right in the face. And basically, it's all, at that point, the Tanner sticks up for her when Master Harper Robinson comes in and says what happened, gets the sequence of events. Poma's shipped out. Sylvina, who's the head woman at the Harper Hall, goes off on Dunka. Dunka's not going to be any more problem to her. In the meantime, the eggs finally hatch for Master Harper Robinson and his journeyman. But Master Harper Robinson gets a brown. Or not a brown, I'm sorry, a bronze. He doesn't get the gold. That goes really to his journeyman and Sebel. And Sebel's like, well, it should be yours. It shouldn't be mine. But at that point, the Master Harper had already impressed the bronze, so you can't just give away the gold, and then the gold impressed onto Sebel. So that brings that in. So she's basically now teaching them, and then Lord Grogi who's a lord holder. She's teaching him basically how to manage fire lizards, how you can train them. So it's like she's an apprentice to Master Harper Robinson, but at the same time, she's also kind of his master when it comes to the fire lizards. Now, even though the song, the book is called Dragon Song, really it's more about the fire lizards. I think where Dragon Song comes is there's a scene probably about halfway into the book. Again, this runs concurrently with like Dragon Quest, where she wakes up in a fright. The fire lizards are going nuts, and she hears this scream in her head, "Don't leave me alone." Well, what it is, and if you've read Dragonsinger or you've read Dragon Quest, then you will know the story about Brecca, and she lost her gold, her queen dragon. She's got a couple of fire lizards of her own, but she lost her dragon, so she's like half alive. But after she decides not to re-impress a gold queen, she comes to the realization that I'm going to live for what I live. And this is when all this feverish activity is happening, because Fnor decides to ride to the Red Star, which he does toward the end of Dragon Quest. And that's what it is all the dragons are going to then try to catch Canth and Fnor, to stop them from basically hitting the ground and being dead right away. So she writes a song about this, and that's kind of where the title comes from. But really, if you're looking to this as a book about dragons, it's not. It's mainly it's Manali and her learning the ways of the Hall, of being a Harper, being a woman Harper, and having to deal with it being predominantly male. All the masters are male. So all the people that she's learning from are male. And having to deal with the females in the Cothold. And, her taking care of her 9 fire lizards. And how they've learned to sing, and can the other ones learn to sing? And they kind of do. And so if you're looking at this as being a book about dragons, it's not, even though dragon is in the title. It's more about the fire lizards, which I guess some people could say, they're the mini version of the dragons. The dragons were based off of them. They were bred to basically imitate the fire lizard, but in a bigger scope. The way the book ends, and if you don't want to know the way the story ends, is as the journeymen are getting sent off, basically Manali can't be an apprentice anymore. She ends up walking the tables, and if you don't know what that means, and it's explained, but you might want to go into the third pass books, because a lot of that is mentioned in there. And she becomes a journeyman at that point, first woman journeyman, and that's basically where the story ends, is her walking to the journeyman's table within the hall. There's a lot of bits of humor. It's kind of a light book. I mean, even though, again, there's the whole notion of how her family was cruel to her, in the beginning, in Dragonsinger, or in Dragon Song, I'm sorry, that you would think that it's a darker book, but really it's not. I mean, it's more light. It's more, I don't want to say that it's geared to young adults, but it's something that young adults could read. And this is probably what may have gotten young adults into the Pern series to begin with. So again, if you're looking for the dragons, I mean, they're there, but it's not really about them. They're not really the main forefront. as they are in the regular book series. Basically, I mean, this is a separate trilogy, it seems, even though it takes place in the Ninth Pass concurrently with the other books, this is basically its own thing of being at the Harper Hall, and the spreading of knowledge is what they want to do now, is what Master Harper Robinson wants to do. So, character development, and I think just the way the events flow, I liked it. Again, I know you can't really do point stars on Goodreads, but I would give it a 4.7 out of 5. And there's one more to go, which I'll be dabbling into that one very, very soon. So yeah, I would suggest so far this trilogy. I would so far recommend the series. I still have a little ways to go on the series, but I'm liking it. So yeah, 4.7 I would give it. So as usual, again, please like, subscribe, turn on notifications so you know when new videos go up. Also, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think of this series, what you think of the videos. Anything that you might think I might want to read and review, or that you might want me to read and review, leave it down below. That's part of the challenges that I do. And I appreciate your support. So as always, until next time, keep YouTube literate, and God bless.